Welcome to Coffee and a Conversation hosted by CJ Abernathy for South Dakota District 23 Senate 2020. A father, an activist, a Marine Corps combat veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan, Purple Heart recipient with a bachelor's degree in information technology software engineering. CJ is the executive producer for the Adam vs. the Man podcast with Adam Kokesh, and the CEO of Internet Warlords, the War for the Internet, as well as a former 2018 South Dakota Libertarian gubernatorial candidate, and a 2020 South Dakota delegate to the Libertarian National Convention. If you would like to join this broadcast, click the link in the description. Coffee and a Conversation starts now. Have a great day or don't. The choice is always yours.
Good morning, folks. It's your boy CJ, the Internet Warlord here, coming to you live and loud from the great state of Meth Dakota. You know Meth Dakota, it's the state just south of North Dakota, that Dakota, the state formerly known as South Dakota, until the Queen of Meth, Governor Kristi Noem, declared by proclamation that we're all on meth. And I don't know about you, but I'm not on meth. I'm not on meth at all. So, real quick for me, if you don't mind, can you let me know in the comments if this microphone is picking up my sound just well? I have these earbuds here that I'm trying out because I don't want to wear these bulky headphones anymore. And I don't have a microphone that will not have feedback. Can you hear me just fine there, Internet? Good morning, Mercedes. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know that. Yes, I have this little green microphone here that'll do the job. It allows me to walk away from the computer instead of staying connected to it for when I'm, producing the other show there for Adam versus the Man. It's just trying to bump up my technology. So, man, do I got a show for today. Oh, I got a show for today. So, as always, before I get started, if you'd like to join this broadcast, there is a link in the description that I remembered this time that I forgot yesterday. So I had said, I wish people would click the link and join the broadcast and have that conversation, and here I forgot to put the link in the description. So I had a buddy of mine who was like, "Hey man, I wanted to click your broadcast link and join, but I couldn't." And so he said that oh well, next time maybe. So we'll see. Good morning, Jody. So yeah. So man, I'll tell you what, we got some great conversations to have today. I mean, it's a loaded broadcast for me today. Gonna get used to these. Good morning, Matt. How are you doing today? Thanks for tuning in. So, we always start in this broadcast, for those of you that might be watching after the fact or are new, with the great state of Meth Dakota. You know Meth Dakota. It's the state just south of North Dakota. All South Dakota public universities will require masks indoors when semester starts. Now, I'm not going to dive straight into this because it's pretty self-explanatory from the headline. It's not controversial in nature per the topic here of discussion. But a key point that I wanted to indicate was the 4 levels of responses here by the government. Level 1 will require face coverings in all classrooms or lab settings where course deliver requires close proximity or physical contact and physical distancing is impractical. Level 2 will require face coverings in all public areas of academic buildings on campus, along with indoor areas where 30 or more people frequently congregate or interact in a setting that makes physical distancing impractical. Level 3 requires face coverings in all public indoor spaces on campus. Level 4 requires face coverings in all public indoor and outdoor campus spaces. So, the semester will start at level 3, which requires face coverings in all public indoor spaces on campus. So, I find it hard to believe that Kristi Noem says that our state didn't shut down or anything like that, when clearly we did. To a certain degree, our state has shut down, businesses have been regulated, schools have been affected. So it's all a giant lie. It essentially is what it is. And as I go through and I search the news each day and I go through the COVID-19 related news, you know, none of it starts to make sense. The latest news: multiple vaccines doses could be necessary. I find this really insane that the Trump crowd had so many anti-vax moms that supported them, and now it's like, well, you're all gonna take your vaccine or shut up. And Kristi Noem is team vaccine at this point. I'm team herd immunity. I say we just call the herd at this point, because it's all about life choices. It's all about making sure that you are your safest, determining your level of safety through this culling. And that's what I'm considering this is a government culling. These are falling out of my ears apparently. I'm considering this a government calling. This is what it feels like. They're using it as a way to prop up their fiat currency in every state, by getting funds. Here in South Dakota, we enjoyed a $1.25 billion funding from the government as a result of COVID-19. And again, we only had a $19 million surplus, which means we would have been $1.06 billion in the hole had we not received that money. But yet now that money allows Kristi Noem to go, see, we had a surplus. And it's directly tied to how many cases they have. So I keep having to remind this camera that regardless of where you stand on the COVID-19 coronaphobia spectrum, whether you fear it completely because your death anxiety has been triggered by this is a hoax. So the reaction from government is a hoax. The virus may be real, but the reactions to all this is a hoax. Make no mistake about it. So you combine this with the talks that they're having, and you look at such a headline like this where it says Fox News parts ways with the morning host who caused a COVID-19 scare. Well, why don't we just get rid of all media that causes any scare, which would be all media? Makes no sense to me. We sit here and we go, hey, the media is driving 95.76392% of this hoax scare because it's good for ratings. Fear equals ratings. There's an incentive here that a lot of mindless, moronic sheeple are going to play into, because it plays into their anxieties. And we've shown the study here on this broadcast where the government itself is studying coronaphobia and its links to being triggered by death anxiety. So, and again, there's no real consistency here. Mnuchin says GOP plan for unemployment extension will be based on 70% wage replacement. Trump says coronavirus response is working out. I mean, this isn't working out. There's an eviction crisis looming. It's an unemployment crisis looming. It's a triggering of a mental health crisis that we already had that's going to get way worse. And what we've done over something that is less deadly than getting struck by lightning. You have more of a chance, statistically speaking, of dying by getting struck by lightning in your lifetime than you do of dying of COVID-19, coronavirus, SARS, COVID-2, whatever, whatever. You have more of a chance of being struck by lightning. But here's the big one here that I wanted to get to for local. COVID-19 in South Dakota, 58 new positive cases, which if you do the math, I think it's like 20,000, give or take, per new case. Death toll rises to 119. Active cases, 799. I think they get 40,000. I think it doubles for the next. So you can kind of figure out, how much money this pulls in. Plus, they get other money, on top of this. There's an incentive, is what I'm trying to get at, folks. Um, South Dakota lawmaker Noam criticizes. This is the one I wanted to get to. She criticizes the tribe here, and you just go, wow, Christy, you can't be any more stupid, can you? South Dakota lawmakers on Tuesday called for a formal consultation process between tribal and state governments following Governor Christie's Noam's handling of a conflict over coronavirus checkpoints set up by the tribe. You remember I covered this. So I covered the right of the sovereign nation to block off the outside world from their land. And the governor said, nuh-uh. And the tribe said, uh-huh. It's amazing, huh? Legislators on a committee tasked with navigating the occasionally fraught relationship. Occasionally fraught. Yeah. Occasionally fraught. Yeah, my YouTube channel says strike. I know. It's just a backed up broadcast, really. So legislators on a committee tasked with navigating the occasionally fraught, I'm going to say always fraught, relationship between tribes and the state criticized the governor for escalating the conflict and suggested that an established process for reaching agreements could help avoid future disputes. Oh, I don't know, say like treaties? That the thing in the Constitution it says that, to make a deal with a sovereign nation, you use treaties that can be backed by our Constitution. I mean, it just blows my mind. It blows my mind. The Republican governor and the leaders of several tribes have exchanged legal threats and barbs after Noam threatened to sue tribes in May if they didn't remove checkpoints on federal and state highways. Several tribes, including the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, the Oglala Sioux tribe, and the Rosebud Sioux tribe, have set up checkpoints on roads leading to their reservation in an effort to keep unnecessary visitors away during the pandemic. Tribal leaders have feared the coronavirus could decimate their members, including many who have health conditions and lack access to robust health care. Noam and the tribes differed on their accounts on how the dispute evolved. The governor claimed that her threat of a lawsuit only happened after weeks of behind-the-scenes communication because the tribe had not received permission to set up the road stops on the highways that belonged to the federal or state government, but the tribes argued they had consulted with the federal government, federal and state authorities, and that their position on sovereign nations allowed them to set up the checkpoints. While Noam backed away from her threats to sue, the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe filed its own lawsuit against the federal government over the issue that alleges the federal authorities have tried to coerce and threaten the tribe even since Noam asked for federal help to help end the checkpoint. Wow. I mean, it's amazing to me. It's amazing to me what these people, do to Native Americans in South Dakota. They are treating them like they are second class, third class, maybe even fourth class citizens. Very much true. Republicans and Democrats on the State Tribal Relations Committee criticized Noam's communication with the tribes and lawmakers on the issue. In the days after Noam threatened to sue the tribes, the lawmakers sent a letter to the governor requesting a conversation on how to handle tribal relations and offering their help in navigating discussions. But the committee chairman, Sean Bordeaux, a Democrat from Mission, said they never received a response from her office. That is so disrespectful, said Senator Lance Russell, a Hot Springs Republican who is a frequent critic of the governor. I think that it was driven this whole issue into brinksmanship. driven this whole issue into brinksmanship. And so this is where I go, wow, even Republicans criticize the Queen of Meth. You know, maybe there's some hope in this world that we can realize that, hey, just because you claim a title of Republican doesn't mean other Republicans think that you're a Republican. So, like I said, I'm an often critic of the governor as well. I mean, pretty much daily. So, but anyways, we'll finish this one article up here and we'll move on. Lawmakers said they plan to reach out to the governor again and request that her office meet with the committee. Noam has defended her relationship with the tribe, saying they cooperate well on areas like drug addiction and law enforcement because, we want to make sure that we keep fitting those stereotypes and use force of government to control people. We agree on that, hey, Julian Bear Runner? She has said repeatedly that tribal leaders have her cell phone number if there are any issues. But Rep. Tamira St. John, a Sisseton Republican, who is a member of the Sisseton Wahpeton Oede, said that defined consultation process would help avoid future conflicts. Tribes have established methods for negotiating with the federal government, but there's no established process of the state. According to St. John added that issues from checkpoints could have been resolved with some, quote, basic, old-fashioned, sit-down talk type of communication. Lawmakers have considered inviting tribal leaders to a discussion in court here in the coming months. How do you actually claim that you work with the tribes when they're like, hey, bitch, we just want to sit down and talk this out with you? We don't want to call you. In fact, Julian Bear Runner, if I was the president of a sovereign nation with Governor Kristi Noem's cell phone number on speed dial, I'd call her every day just to troll her. I don't understand. But see, this is the one thing that's always bothered me about being in this process politically, having ran for governor of South Dakota, that I read about this in little excerpts of news articles, like from the Black Hills Pioneer. I see it in headlines. If you just listen to a guy who said, hey, President Bear Runner, can you hear me, sir? If you would stop voting for Democrats and started voting for libertarians, you'd have your land back before this two-party will never give you your land back or recognize your sovereignty. They will continue to use this relationship as just more means to suck from the tit of the federal government and be the middleman between you and what is rightfully yours. So why don't you wake up? I mean, honestly, I get really tired of saying it because at some point you go, hey, you're going to deserve what you get. Or as the Joker said, you get what you fucking deserve. So, like I said, big issues out here in South Dakota. As always, we start this show with South Dakota because that's where I live. I live in this wonderful, fucked up state of less than 1 million people. Yeah. But again, hey, vote for the guy that sniffs kids, Julian Bear Runner. I guess. It's amazing to me how a sovereign territory lights up blue every election, but yet Puerto Rico doesn't have a vote. Yeah. Real interesting, just little thought conversation. All right. So, I've got a fun little segment here coming up. But again, just a reminder, if you want to join the Libertarian Party, there is a link in the description for lpsouthdakota.org. And yes, if you're feeling like, CJ, I can't vote for the Queen of Meth, I can't vote for the dude that wishes a child sex trafficker well in her federal prosecution case, I can't vote for a dude that sniffs kids, we have an answer for you. You don't have to vote blue no matter who, or red till you're dead. You can vote gold till you're old, then you die, and then the Democrats will change your registration after your death. But, that's just something you can do. And again, if you're listening to me and you're like, God damn it, I want to stop this guy from talking, you can always interrupt me by clicking the link that I remembered today in the top of this description on Facebook, in the description at the bottom on YouTube, if you'd like to join. So, but I smell something. It smells kind of good. Oh, what is that? It smells like warm, fresh bread and icing and cinnamon. This could be good cop, bad cop time, huh?
Hey now, take a step outside and seize the day now. Set aside your worries, it's okay now. The sun is here to stay.
Did you get your donuts ready? I told you to have your donuts ready. Today's donut is a tiger tail cinnamon glazed twisted donut. So good. So good. Man. Oh, let me have a moment here, huh? I just started. So on Monday, I'm going to have a privilege of interviewing one man, hopefully two. He's got a partner that I didn't realize until after the fact. But he made Newsweek. All pigs matter. Man crashes Blue Lives Matter rally. Antagonizes supporter of police. This is will be my guest on Monday. He made Newsweek famous. You are Newsweek famous, Michael. For those that don't know, Michael, I'm going to be playing little segments of his comedy, his trolling of certain individuals of belief systems. And I'm going to give you guys this morning just a little taste of All Pigs Matter.
I'm going to give the mic back. Hey guys, we are at a pro-police rally, and I am about to go disrupt it. The secret to a good troll is that you have to hide your sign and infiltrate, and then hold up the sign.
Speaking of police, right now, I want to introduce to you Ben.
Get out of here with your Black Lives Matter bullshit. Guys, just watch out for that guy over there in the red cap. He's Black Lives Matter. I can feel it. He's here to start shit. Waiting for the perfect time.
And the only time I ever thought of becoming a state trooper was one time on Route 8, heading south in the town of Thomaston. I was driving my 1967 Ford Mustang Fastback 390, which had 325 horses behind it, 4-barrel, 4-speed. And if you notice the light blue Ford vehicle behind me that I had asked for, there's a little blue light that was blink, blink, blink.
So I ask you again, before I introduce the next speaker, do you want to live in a world without police?
No.
I didn't think so. He's also the vice chair of the Libertarian Party of Connecticut, and he's currently a candidate for state representative in the 26th district. Can you please give a huge round of applause and bring Jonathan to the stage?
Just to preface, Michael is not the vice chair, nor is he running for office. This is just his moment. Allow him to have it.
I'm going to give the mic back, but first I want to say, all pigs matter.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm going to let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
Come on, get up, get up. All pigs matter.
Freedom!
Get off.
All pigs matter.
You can now leave.
What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear or peace
I'm
so
welcome
sweet?
here.
You're not welcome anywhere.
I know not what course others may
What?
take, but
Like
as
you ate
for
about
me,
20
give me liberty.
I'm just here to support pigs.
Patrick Henry gave this speech in
I'm just here to
Richmond,
support pigs.
1775,
Pigs.
Richmond,
Pigs
Virginia.
around here.
I'm what?
Raised and
Pretty
established
fat.
stand before
There's
you
no
today
pigs
with
around
this
here. They're
question.
law enforcement officials.
Are you calling law enforcement officers pigs?
When the
No.
government
Take
I
that
said
back.
I said they're not.
No, that's not what I
I said
heard.
they're not pigs.
That's not what I
They're
heard.
law
Shut
enforcement.
down
What's
our
wrong with
churches.
you? What are you
Deny
talking
our
about?
right to assemble.
I'm just here to
Force us
support
to wear
pigs.
masks. Close our public schools.
You're a disgrace.
Close our
Yeah, go to Weight Watchers.
Propose the removal
Go to
of
wait. Will you go with me?
when all these liberties were enforced while serving all of us and laboring to make
What? I heard the threesome is this way. I heard the threesome is this way.
You look like a real intelligent fella.
I am.
You look it. You too, man.
Today we're asking you to stand with
My
us.
mom's proud of me.
Stand with
bet.
us as we
Yeah.
continue to reject the tyrannical rule of one man. the
Now it
governor
looks like
does the law. Stand
my
with
hand
us
is
as we
over your
continue to
shoulder.
Stand up for our God-given rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Please don't hit me.
Can we ask
Please
you
don't
to
hit
stand
me.
with us and
Really?
ask you to refuse to enforce unconstitutional executive orders?
I love you, man. Come in
In the
here.
same
Don't
famous
touch me.
speech,
Come in here for the real thing.
Patrick Henry stated,
All right, so that's just a little taste. I have the privilege of interviewing that man on Monday. So if you're a watcher of Coffee and a Conversation, I will be interviewing Michael Picard, I believe is how you say his last name, on Monday. And you know what? I got to just make sure I say this publicly. I've said it privately. If I owe a man an apology, I owe a man an apology. Sure. Excuse me. I had made the mistake.
We're
during
back together
this
again.
video yesterday,
Allah bless America.
that this guy right here, you see the All Lives Matter guy right here? I thought he was not a character. I thought that was just a real dude. And I was like, dude is stupid. Like, really? Like, what the, and I made some comments like, dude's an idiot. Well, come to find out, that's his partner, Steve. And I say partner in crime. I don't know what their actual relationship is, but they are doing this as their own, brand of trolling. And you know what? I have seen some incredible trolling moments and things that have made my cheeks and the back of my jaw and my eyes start to do this thing called crying. I mean, like I have to go like this. So I would highly recommend you guys check them out. I've been sharing the videos. I've invited both Michael and Steve onto this broadcast just to ask them some basic questions. I mean, a lot of people protest for their cause, but I've never seen it done like this. And I'm just impressed with their consistency. It's a First Amendment audit at its best. I mean, they were trolling the congressional candidate and watching her violate their constitutional rights in real time, and you're like, huh? You claim you want to run for Congress, but you're throwing away people's signs. You're being disrespectful to other people's viewpoints in a way that's demeaning and degrading. I mean, really? That's the way you're gonna go with that? Rihanna? Is that how you say her name? I don't remember how you say her name. Either way, just a great videos to come across and be one of the first to actually get to enjoy that. So, hey, at the end of the day, it was funny to me, and I hope you guys will check it out. So that's our icebreaker there this morning for good cop, bad cop. As always, we'll get into some deeper conversation. If you'd like to join, again, a reminder to click the link in the description and be a part of this broadcast. If you're like, that CJ guy's talking again, I should probably shut him up. There is a link for you to do that. And I welcome and beg for it. So, Colorado to strip its police force of qualified immunity. Countless officers are discussing resigning. Wow. Well, where have we heard this before? New York. I believe Minneapolis. Law enforcement officers believe that they should be able to do whatever they want to you, up to and including your murder. And as long as they can get a little technicality like, well, he was facing at a 93-degree angle, not a 97-degree angle when I shot him in the back. So that's qualified immunity. You're really finding out right now that your police force believes they're above the law that they enforce, above treating people the way they expect you to treat people, including them, and that you challenging them even will be a death sentence extrajudiciously in America in 2020. So to hear another set of law enforcement officers thinking about resigning, it makes me go, well, are these good cops? I think this is a little, this one's a little misleading because it's a state trooper in the picture. It's not an actual police officer. It still falls under qualified immunity. I'm not somebody that looks at the camera and says, hey, abolish your constitutional sheriff. That would be dumb. A sheriff plays a lot different role in your community than a police officer. Police officers deal with more of the everyday nuances of violating the Constitution, while sheriffs deal with it on a court level with absolute immunity. So, I mean, it's like step down. Like there's immunity. There's like some immunity. There's qualified immunity. There's another term for it. Maybe the comments know. Maybe the comments know what it's called. It's lower than qualified, but it's still immunity. From what I understand, there's 3 levels. And qualified's the middle. Absolute is judicial. But there's like temporary immunity or something that can be granted, and it's rare, and it's but either way, my opinion is end all immunity, top to bottom. If there was even a 5th and 6th layer underneath, or even one higher than absolute, I'd abolish it all. Nobody should be above the law, which is amazing to me. That we have a government who's like, let's amp up our police force and give them immunity to do whatever they want. So, yeah, what a crazy time to be alive. So, law enforcement today have received countless messages over the past few days from officers in Colorado. Many have asked for resources finding police jobs out of Colorado. Many have said they plan on leaving the field altogether. This is just the beginning. Here's why. Colorado, new criminal justice reforms has been passed to the governor's desk in Colorado, and it tightens the screws on law enforcement officers across the state. The Denver Post reported this comprehensive package in the wake of protests following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. As of Friday, June 19th, the legislation has been signed into law. Colorado Governor Paulus has signed SB 217 into law, ending qualified immunity for police, heavily restricting use of tear gas projectiles on citizens, including criminal charges for cops who don't intervene in excessive force cases, plus much more, all a direct result of protests. So when people say, hey, protesting is dumb, Well, I mean, protesting just made it so your cops can't shoot people and get away with it. Protesting just made it so they can't use. Well, it's restricting the use of tear gas, which, by the way, on this broadcast we have more than covered that it is considered a chemical weapon in war and has been banned in every country for use of using it, other than the U.S., because the U.S. said, well, we don't play by the same rules we're going to make you all play by. And so now we're stuck with law enforcement officers being able to tear gas people on the streets of America. Welcome to America in 2020. Denver civil rights attorney, blah, 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 I can't say your name, and I'm sorry. This is, in my estimation, the largest single achievement of individual civil rights and liberties for Coloradans in generations. This bill is sponsored by Senator Leroy Garcia, Senator Rhonda Fields, Representative Leslie Herod, Representative Selena Gonzalez Gutierrez, and the American Civil Liberties Union worked together with Colorado legislators to draft the bill. This bill enhances law enforcement integrity. Chokeholds are banned, along with a few other additional key enhancements. 1, deadly force must be used as a last resort. No rubber bullets can be used. Body cameras must be turned on during interactions with the public. Qualified immunity is not a defense in a civil action. Thank you. That is a huge one. A statewide database must be created. This bill takes effect July 1. Okay, so, well, this is where I disagree with the idiocracy that we live under, because they have still about a year left to go, use deadly force with rubber bullets and turn off their body cams, and they can still claim qualified immunity for a year. So if you got beaten by a law enforcement officer today, he can still claim qualified immunity up to July 1. So my advice to you, if you're living in the great state of Colorado, is to not file anything until July 1st and make it a wave of criminal civil allegations in the Colorado civil court system, because right now they can still tear gas you, only with some restrictions. They can still shoot rubber bullets at you. They can still use chokeholds. They can still do all these things, but you can't get rid of their immunity until an arbitrary date of rotation, when the Earth spins around the sun a certain amount of revolutions. Until then, they can still do all these things, and there ain't a fucking thing you can do about it. So, good luck out there in the world of Colorado. All right, so this can't just be all bad, CJ. I mean, you're like, oh, get rid of the police, and I'm like, fuck yeah, get rid of all police departments in all 50 states, and maybe move to private security policing within your townships. That'd be the most effective way. But again, I am not the guy. They will say CJ wants to end all law enforcement. And this is where your arguments of fallacy are red herring, designed to trigger the retarded people out there that don't do their own research and just look at the headline and make a decision. I have never once said get rid of your county sheriff. Never once. My county sheriff's elected here. And then my county sheriff hires on the deputies. Therefore, he is responsible for the actions of his deputies, and there's a chain of command that they follow. So there is a sad story here that I said I'd get to. 2 brothers' girlfriend arrested in massacre of 3 best friends on a fishing trip. And, this one I kind of stole from the Adam versus the Man Producers Club, because it just fits the good cop, bad cop narrative here. That, we got to throw something in at the end of the day that will make you go, well, at least there's some hope. CJ, how are you going to find hope in people being murdered? Well, it is sad. Again, you got to gotta follow me down this rabbit. 2 brothers and a woman have been arrested in connection with the massacre of 3 best friends who set out on a fishing trip at a Central Florida lake last week, Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd said Wednesday. One of the suspects, Tony T.J. Wiggins, 26, had previously been charged with 230 felonies and had been consistently arrested since he was 12. The sheriff said, quote, "He is the kind of guy who would punch you in the face for no reason." His brother, William Robert Wiggins, 21, and girlfriend Mary Whitmore, 27, were also arrested. The 3 suspects are scheduled to have their first court appearance at 1 p.m. today. Yeah, a bunch of sick fucks. There's still evil in the world. Again, this is another reason why I said I'm not sitting here saying abolish the police and saying that means all law enforcement. I'm saying abolish the police, but leave your sheriff's department because they're elected. They're elected. Investigators interviewed all 3 suspects and said their stories were, quote, inconsistent and contradicting. Neither Tony Wiggins nor Mary Whitmore are cooperating with detectives, police said. Well, they are accused in the shooting and beating of deaths of Damian Tillman, 23, Kevin Springfield, 30, and Brandon Rollins, 27, on Friday night as they gathered at a remote boat ramp at Lake Streety near Frostproof. Judd, who had worked at the agency since 1972, called the crime scene, quote, horrific, describing the deaths as a, quote, massacre. He said the men were beaten and shot up. Judd said, quote, I've been to a lot of murder scenes in my life, and this ranks among the worst. You know, and like I said, I'm not saying get rid of your sheriff. They're 2 complete different things on the spectrum. According to the sheriff, Tillman was at the Dollar General store in the area and mentioned he was meeting his friends to go fishing at the lake. The store clerk later told investigators the suspects were in the store and overheard Tillman saying he was meeting up with his friends. Judd said Tony Wiggins told his brother to drive to the lake. Once there, Tony Wiggins confronted Springfield, accusing him of stealing his truck and selling the engine. Judd said investigators have not yet determined whether that allegation is true. The brothers told detectives Tony Wiggins shot all 3 victims, then asked him to help put Tillman in the back of a truck. The sheriff said the trio then went to McDonald's and ordered 10 double cheeseburgers and 2 chicken sandwiches. Rollins still alive when the attackers left. Judd said he called his father for help. The father arrived about 10 minutes later, but forgot his cell phone and rushed to help his son, so he went to the convenience store to get help. By the time help arrived, his son had died. Detectives received tips about the case and obtained videos from the store. During a search warrant at the suspect's home, investigators found a gun that killed the victims, Judd said. Tony Wiggins is charged with first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. His brother and girlfriend are each charged with accessory after the fact. All 3 were expected to appear before a judge Thursday afternoon, which will be today. Attorneys for them were not listed on court records. Earlier, Judd had announced a $30,000 leading to the arrest in this case. Now, there was a line in this case that, for some reason, has been edited out of this conversation. And I can almost guess why. I'm going to see if I have the right story, because that's just kind of messed up if it's not, if they've changed it, or maybe I used the wrong, I used the wrong story. That's what it was. Okay. Well, that's okay, because I can just pull this up right here. So I'm not going to read the whole article here from Yahoo, but they have the quote that I wanted to pull up about this story. And it's this: Tony should have a fair trial. He should have the appropriate appeals, and then he should be executed, Judd said. Legally, we can't execute him the same way he executed those 3 guys who were just trying to fish on Friday night. Nor would we suggest that the system be as barbaric as his conduct toward our 3 victims. And that is why I tell you, don't get rid of your constitutionally protected sheriff. He is a reason why he's elected. Now, can there be corrupt sheriffs? Abso-freaking-lutely. We've seen them all across America. That's why it is your responsibility to know who your sheriff is and to make sure that you challenge him where it is appropriate and to test him where it is appropriate, because just like anybody else running for an office, they are susceptible to being voted out by their constituency. So crazy. Just wanted to go fishing, and over a little dispute like that, 3 people lose their life. So crazy. So we continue down this rabbit hole of policing. Matt here says this is a prime example why we need judicial reform. Absolutely. I told you I'd cover that story, Matt. I just figured it deserves a segment here on at least my broadcast. I would hope Adam would get to it. I'm pretty sure that he would have his own conclusion, though. But, that's what the Producers Club's for, is we're sharing information on a really awesome level. So, and we pick the best stories and push them forward. Another article here, it's kind of along the lines of good cop, bad cop here. Portland mayor tear gassed by federal agents, riot declared. Wheeler had joined protesters downtown earlier in the evening for a listening session. So he was there to promote conversation about how to solve problems, and the federal government came in and used chemical weapons against the protesters with the mayor in the conversation. I mean, wow. A riot was declared in Portland just after midnight Thursday morning after Mayor Ted Wheeler's tense visit with protesters, where he was booed, told to resign, given a list of demands, and tear gassed by federal agents. His visit ended with his security detail engaging in a struggle with protesters late Wednesday night as they worked to get the mayor to safety. Earlier, he moved with protesters to the fence outside of the federal courthouse, where he stood at the front and was tear gassed along with the crowd, according to the New York Times correspondent Mike Baker. The Portland police tweeted, "A riot has been declared outside the Justice Center. Disperse to the north and or west. Just don't go south or east. Disperse immediately. Failure to adhere to this order may subject you to arrest or citation or riot control agents, including but not limited to tear gas or other impact weapons." Keeping in mind that Colorado just banned impact weapons. And again, not for another year, but and tear gas is a weapon of war. I mean, I feel like we miss an opportunity, and this is why mainstream media they miss things. Tear gas is a weapon of war. United States exempt. I mean, you can easily figure this out. It's true. Tear gas is a chemical weapon banned in war. The founder of the USA Today was born in Eureka, South Dakota, coincidentally. This is from June 6, 2020. claim tear gas is a chemical weapon banned in war as police officers across the country have tear gas crowds in an attempt to disperse protesters. Claims have surfaced on social media that tear gas is a chemical weapon banned in war but legal for law enforcement purposes. Facebook post shared June 2nd shows screenshots of a tweet from Robert Reich, an economist and Secretary of Labor under President Bill Clinton, that quote, your reminder that tear gas is a chemical weapon banned in war. So, again, here we are. Welcome to America, land that I love. Proud to be an American. Oh, won't you tear gas me? Ugh. And you wonder why we're in this chaos. It's literally government doing what government does. But as we realize that there's always, issues on both sides, I find this to be kind of interesting little fun tidbit. Federal officers in Portland may have been permanently blinded by lasers. So, we know how to take them down, boys. Get out your lasers. In fact, there are some pretty cool lasers that cause, like, burning. Pretty intense lasers you can get a hold of that will cause facial damage from a distance, and you can hide. And I mean, it's like infrared. They can't see where it's coming from. I mean, and again, this escalation of violence and is only going to make things worse. There's nothing good that's going to come of this. We have a president that's trying to hide his pedophilia and a candidate for president that's openly a pedophile. I mean, we're not going to get anywhere fast, folks. It's going to be a long climb to any semblance of America again. It really is. It's going to be chaotic, and it's going to be, it's going to be shitty. There's not enough coffee in the world. Not enough coffee in the world to actually, if we could all just sit down and have a cup of coffee and a conversation without being tear gassed or, kidnapped. We could just talk it out. Unfortunately, there is no real talking it out at this point. It's pretty much done and over with. So, I would love to have hope. I think hope would be incredible to have. To say, hey, we have hope. But, again, we got like I said, a president that's like I said, we got a president that wants to cover shit up. This is a fact.
And my second question, it's a little bit a different topic, but it's one that a lot of people are talking about. Ghislane Maxwell is in prison, and so a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you've talked in the past about Prince Andrew, and you've criticized Bill Clinton's behavior. I'm wondering, do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? You. How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well, whatever it is. I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. Just don't know.
She is a known child sex trafficker. Colin Kaepernick. Law! Get that son of a bitch off the field! He's disrespecting the magic sky cloth! Get him off the field! Hillary Clinton. Lock her up! If I was president, you'd be in jail. Known child sex trafficker Ghislane Maxwell. I wish her well, quite frankly. I don't know what's going on, but, good luck to her. Your president is a pedophile. I'm tired of saying it. Frankly, I'm tired of saying your president's a pedophile. Good fucking Lord. But here you are, all continuing to support this shit. Well, if I don't vote for this good pedophile, then the other pedophile's gonna win, CJ. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I don't know what to do. I mean, which pedophile do you prefer? I mean, honestly, that's all this is. You know? I mean, pick your pedophile. Which one do you support? The one that gropes kids publicly or the one that does it privately? You know? And again, this isn't even the kid video. I tried to find the kid one here. I mean, they cut this out on NBC. Oh well, I guess there is. But again, which pedophile do you prefer? I mean, I guess in all reality, it's about as fair as it gets. But you know, it's like, is there not a better choice than this? I think there's a better choice, personally. I just don't understand why other people don't do their own research. Oh, that's right. It involves having an independent thought process and not falling for the stupidity. I get it. So, you know, I mean, like I said, whether you like it or not, it's true. Whether you like it or not, it's true. I'm looking forward to the Trump rallies where they're like, no, Ghislane Maxwell's a good person. Trump only was talking about development projects with her. It blows my mind. It really blows my mind. I don't even know what to tell you, honestly. I wish there was a simple answer. But that's where I find that the simplest answers usually are the ones that are true. I have a theory that both sides are right. Trump is a pedophile. Biden's a pedophile. Plain and simple. Like, let's just get to the Occam's razor of the problem here. I don't have any problem saying this. Yeah, you caught my pun there, Ghislane. Development projects, specifically talent development in sexual favors to billionaires. You know, involving minors. If you're talking about, you know, development projects. But there's hope. I have hope, folks. I have a lot of hope in this world. And I hope that this will give you hope too, because it gives me a lot of hope.
First, we have to let the C-SPAN viewers know exactly what the problem is, because the media doesn't seem to be telling them.
When we end the wars overseas, bring the troops home, and allow the healing to begin, it will be because of you.
They did everything they could to keep Tulsi Gabbard off that debate stage because they didn't want to hear what she had to say. There are soldiers currently deployed who weren't even born when the war on terror began. There's no reason we need to spend taxpayer dollars on defending the soil of Germany, France, and other. The longer we stay where we shouldn't be, the more problems we're going to be causing.
Millions of Americans swear an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against enemies, foreign and domestic. And then they are sent overseas to fight and kill and potentially die to protect the interests of billionaire military contractors, cynical politicians, and foreign dictators. When they come home, they are subjected to the very worst healthcare in this country and treated like second-class citizens. They deserve so much better than that.
I will bring the troops home. I will turn America into one giant Switzerland, armed and neutral. There is no reason why we need to continue to be the policemen of the world.
That drives it. You are the power.
The Veterans Administration is among the worst in our healthcare system. This top-down monopoly is unacceptable for any person, let alone those willing to sacrifice their lives in service to our country.
Joe Jorgensen is going to end the wars and bring the troops home and treat them to the care that they deserve and allow the healing to begin.
We need to have a strong military defending our shores, but there is no reason for us to be defending the rest of the world. It only makes things worse. We've got to come home. I'm Joe Jorgensen, and I approve this message.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're still gonna go vote for a pedophile, the red pedophile. No, the blue. No. Okay. You go do you, boo. You go do you. Wow. You know, one thing that Mr. Cohen said there that really gets to me the most is that veterans, military members, we take an oath to support and defend my raggedy old torn up Constitution of the United States here. And we take an oath to defend this against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Yet, the government sends people overseas to fight foreign enemies. And I always say that most people that are indoctrinated into the military-industrial complex are trained to forget what an actual domestic enemy of the Constitution looks like. Now, red team tries to frame it as blue team, and blue team tries to frame it as red team. But really, it's both of them are domestic terrorists, terrorist organizations parading around as a government, siphoning and collecting tax dollars for people and industrial complexes like the military industrial complex, the family court industrial complex. These complexes that make the elite lucrative access to their, their wealth, their status. There's people whose names you won't ever know that are making more money than you ever will in a lifetime in a month because they are willing to do shady and crooked shit. And they are, by all definition, domestic terrorists, domestic enemies of the Constitution. And our military forgets what it's like to fight against domestic enemies of the Constitution. So somebody like me who takes that oath and is told repeatedly, your oath never expires. You might not wear the uniform today, but your oath never expires. Whether you do 4 years active or 20 years active, you're still a Marine. They tell you this. And then they shove you into that VA system where they hand you a bag of pills and say 3 of these have suicide as a listed side effect possibly, but it might help you sleep better. We have a current generation of military veterans that don't remember what it's like to, or don't know what it's like to, or never have fought against actual domestic enemies of the Constitution. And I've always said this, I speak out against government because I believe that I am still following my oath to the Constitution to defend it against domestic enemies as I was sent to fight foreign enemies, because it's the war is when the government tells you who the enemy is. And as a result, we see militarized police trained to think the same way, that they're protecting their communities against who government says is the bad guy, instead of coming to a conclusion that is built in reality. They come to a conclusion based in political ideology driven by an agenda that has absolutely nothing to do with your rights, your freedoms, any of these issues. We have a lot of people that don't know what a domestic terrorist actually looks like, or domestic enemy to the Constitution, or terrorist, either one. These are the terrorists, the people you call senators, congressmen, council member, mayor, governor. That's who the enemy is. Make no mistake about it. And I say these things not for your adulation or for your thumbs up on the internet because it's just cool, bro. I'm beating the algorithms, dog. I say it whether there's 3 people watching or nobody's watching, or if I had all 7+ billion of us hairless monkeys spinning on this ball in an endless void through space and time, listening at one time, I'd tell you all the same thing. We are all slaves to government, regardless of how you feel about it. How we treat other slaves is a whole different conversation. How we treat those of that have certain privileges. White privilege, myth, you're still a slave. Black privilege, white privilege, yellow privilege, brown privilege. It all comes down to class. I absolutely fundamentally disagree with you telling me I have white privilege when I am just as much susceptible as being murdered by this government. I'm just as susceptible as being thrown in a cage. And I absolutely despise people that continue to utilize these as crutches and arguments and red herring fallacies. Because it's you being racist, to be perfectly honest. It's racism. How would I best describe it? It's giving you an excuse to be racist because you need to project that you're being the better person. I was taught in the Marine Corps that everyone's equally worthless in boot camp until you earn something as a collective and an individual. And then you have worth and value. There's a big shift coming in our government. And, the mainstream media is afraid to talk about Joe Jorgensen. People are afraid to hint at it because could there be in our lifetime a third-party candidate that just might win? You look at top sides on both political spectrums, and they fear the name Joe Jorgensen. And they would have feared any. Well, I wouldn't say any libertarian candidate. I think some they could dismiss easier than others in ways that would just shot the party from the gate. There's certain individuals that if we would have nominated, that they would have, and while their runs were undoubtedly honorable, and they fostered incredible conversation that allowed for this process of our nominating process to bring forth Dr. Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen. It really makes you go, why are they not talking about it? Why is it that somebody like a Dan Bongino, who claims to have a libertarian audience, this is the one thing that bugs me about this process with your Dan Bonginos and your Alex Joneses. They claim to have libertarian viewers. They claim that they are, libertarian at heart, and well, not really necessarily Dan Bongino. I will correct myself and say he identifies as a conservative Republican and has ran as such. Alex Jones calls himself a libertarian, many times on his show. But they claim to have that audience. And I watched Dan Bongino to find out what the Trumpophiles are going to be discussing that day, any given day, where, okay, well, this is what this Trumpophile, who's like the head Trumpophile on media right now, he's pushing this regurgitated narrative. And you hear that trickle down through all the groups, and you can eventually hear it coming into your local conversation. So I'll give him that he's effective. That's why I call him the number one Trumpophile in the country. The libertarian audience isn't listening to you, Dan, because we agree with your politic. We're listening because we're listening to what the Trumpophiles are going to say. I have many arguments in my mind with you, Dan Bongino, and I'm just a little peon, measly nobody. Admittedly, you'd call me a XYZ. I could put together a whole video of an hour long footage. I could make a show of yours, just of you belittling and badgering and using your bully pulpit. I could do that. I don't want to waste the time, but and that would just be in like little second segments, you know, like, and I could fill an hour. So your conversation gets a little dry sometimes when I recognize its insert title, thought, belittle whoever's against Team Red, and then spit out the regurgitative narrative in response. It's not journalism. I wouldn't call it journalism. I'd call it assassination journalism. You know, I'd call it like, you know, hit piece journalism at best. But I listen just to hear the counter argument until you mention, hey, you know what? I have a libertarian audience, and they would like me to discuss the prospects of a President Joe Jorgensen. You know, you're not really seriously taking any serious approach in your journalism. It's really a joke. I mean, like I said, I listen. I love your producer though. I mean, absolutely. Producer Joe. I mean, I don't think he's really the audience on Budsman that he claims to be. He won't trigger you into saying, "Hey, you know, Dan, there's a third party candidate here that we don't talk about on this show." But you claim to have that libertarian audience, and to me, that is the crux of the conversation for me, is that it's not libertarian at best. It's just listening to you be that Trumpophile. Alex Jones claims to be a libertarian at heart. Guess what? They got a libertarian audience. Tune in tomorrow. We'll talk about it. We'll have the documents. And you go, but you suck Trump's dick. I just don't get it. Maybe that's what it takes to be cool in America in 2022. You got to get down on your fucking knees with a little red, white, and blue flag in your hand. Unhinge your jaw. And suck Trump's dick to be cool. And I just can't do it. I refuse. I do not consent. And that government is only formed from consent of the governed. Informed consent. Well, it's been a fun day. Nobody wanted to click the link. Nobody wanted to join me in this conversation, even though I had it. So whether I put the link up or not, it seems to be irrelevant. Like I said, I have a humble audience. Most of my views come after the fact because most of the people that follow me have jobs or out doing life, and if they catch one of my videos, it's after the fact. So I'm grateful for it. Admittedly, I don't like being on camera on, you know, too much, other than what I control, my show, my thoughts. I can end it when I want. And I'm only doing this until November. Because, as like I said, as running for political office, I believe that I should be speaking publicly and often, even if you disagree with me, and provide you that outlet that you can utilize if we do disagree, or if you just want to talk, we should have that available too. You don't see my opponent doing it. Because he can't. Because he has to get down on his knees, put up that red, white, and blue flag, wave it around a little bit, unhinge his jaw, and suck Trump's dick. Alright, you guys, I'll be in Gettysburg on Sunday. Correction from yesterday. I kept saying Saturday. I'll be there Sunday morning. There is a meet and greet on Saturday. Like I said, I just plan on going there and being a part of a peaceful redress of grievance for both sides. This goes to George Floyd's uncle as well. You live in District 23. I will wear my District 23 campaign logo. If you don't know what it looks like, I will be wearing the white shirt. It looks like this. If you see this logo, that does not mean I am Team Red. That does not mean I am Team Blue. That means I am Team You. And I'm there to hear you. And I'm there to listen to you. And then I'll be speaking at some point there. So, other than that, you guys have a good day or don't. The choice is always yours.